Hello, my name is Nancy Allen, and it's good to see everyone again. And I know this is an unusual time for all of us, and please bear with me. It's my first time teaching Sunday school by Zoom. I hope everyone is doing well. I know it's a very trying and challenging time for all, and to let you know on behalf of myself and all the other school teachers that we really do miss seeing you in person, and we look forward to the time, hopefully in the near future, when everyone can be together again in our Sunday school classroom. So thank you for joining me, and today's lesson is going to be David and Goliath, and there's also a video that is provided Holy Moly. And so if you have not already seen the Holy Moly video, I would ask you to pause me right now and watch the Holy Moly video, and we'll shortly. So welcome back, and briefly, the video was well done considering that there really is no dialogue in it, and with just basically cartoon characters, they were able to give the message of David and Goliath. Just going over it, there was a confrontation between King Saul's army, which included David as a participant, and the Philistines. And the Philistines, from what I read from the Sunday school pamphlet, some of them were very, very tall. And there was one person in the Philistine army, and his name was Goliath. And historically, he was reported at over 10 feet tall, which even by today's standards is quite height. I had a paper here, and as you can see, I'm not as well organized as I should be. Here we go. It came with the lesson. Basically, it's a description of probably the height that most of you are, and probably some of you are taller than that. And this person here is this would be David. This would be David's height in comparison. This is Abraham Lincoln, who was recorded at 6'4". You can see between he and David even quite a difference. And then we have an NBA player, Newt Bull, who is recorded as being 7'7" here. And then finally we have Goliath, who basically was recorded in the Bible as being 10 feet tall. So you can see the difference between David and Goliath was quite dark and quite dramatic. But from the video, at first, I believe it was given traditional army armor, which was metal plates that the person would wear on their body, and sword. And despite giving it his try, he was unable to really make anything happen to Goliath with that. Instead of giving, and then, Goliath did David, which to people make them leave and go away and not try anymore. But on the contrary, David decided that he was going to give it one more try. And what he did was he thought in the past of how he had been confronted as a shepherd by bears and by lions, and what action he had taken past to protect the sheep from the lions and bears. And his mind's eye, as he thought back, he saw himself not as afraid, but someone who stood up to both those animals, and that he had a simple slingshot, which is really just a piece of fabric that was fashioned to hold a rock. And with that, and using the slingshot to project the rock at a high speed, he was able to get rid of the creatures that were trying to attack his flock and protect them. And it was at that point that Goliath came up with, or David came up with the idea of collecting rock, getting a slingshot, and then, as we saw at the end of the video, he successfully killed Goliath and really protected everyone against an attack, which probably would not have resulted in very good outcome for anyone. And so when I'm thinking about that story, I'm thinking to myself that there's a lot of comparisons to be drawn between David and ourselves when we are going up against something that is much larger than us and something that we need to protect ourselves against and perhaps protect other people against. The first thing that comes to my mind is David's faith that he had in God. He did not want to let anyone down, and he didn't have a lot going for him as far as how big he was or his presence, but his faith in God gave him the courage to go forward and do something that really no one else was willing to do. And so to me, going forward for all of us, I think it's our faith sometimes that keeps us focused and gives us maybe that little bit of extra strength that perhaps others don't have to protect others and to protect ourselves. And I think that that's one of the most important things that David did have going for him. The other thing I think that comes across reading the story of David and seeing the video was that David was able to keep calm. And it's very difficult sometimes when things are frightening and we really have to think on our feet quickly. And that's another ability, is to stop, think, and use the resources that we have, the things that have helped us in the past, perhaps, as Dave thought about what it helped him protect sheep, and also to use tools that we have available to us. Now, in this case, it was definitely the slingshot and the rocks. But sometimes we also have tools available to us to protect ourselves, not always necessarily to attack someone, but definitely our language, things we've used in the past, maybe humor, things that we can use to protect. Another thing I can think of right now that pretty much everyone is using to protect themselves are our masks. And we're using that as a defense against COVID-19. And we're also using different things that we've learned in the past that will help us, such as hand washing and staying socially distanced from others. So those two things definitely come to mind with David, that his faith and his ability to stay calm and to stay focused and to use tools that helped him in the past to protect himself and others against Goliath. At this point, I would like to show the craft portion of the one, and at this point I can show this little cut figurine of Goliath, and this part, which is basically a stand. And so I believe this can be colored or done with whatever, but on the back of it, I believe we're to write our skills, are things we have used in the past to keep us safe and protect us. So as I said with David, one of the ones I can think of is faith and you thinking on our feet and using some skill, sometimes thinking with our creativity as well. And then at that point, if all it needs to be taken is for Goliath is to be put like so, like a cross, and then at that stage, Goliath can stand up. And I just wanted to show you this little figurine that was given to me by my granddaughter, which I believe is Kristoff from Frozen. And it's the same idea. And anyone who's seen the movie also knows that Kristoff was also able to protect others without a lot going for him. But again, he used his imagination and skills that he had used in the past to help others and had a faith that he would be able to help others. So it just came to mind that little figurine that I had. Then I believe the portion of the lesson is to assemble the paper airplane. And you'll have to forgive me because it's really not the simplest to show on the screen. But basically, I think what we're supposed to do is take the airplane and to aim it at Goliath. And I think that is meant to do is to be symbolic to show how we can take something, and by knocking down Goliath, we are knocking down our fears and our concerns. So basically, just a recap of our lesson, we had David, who was in the Bible anointed by Samuel to become the next king of Israel, even though Saul was still in power. And we can see from this example that David was able to use intelligence and his resilience to help his people and his army, which really was a good indication of how he would be in the future. And we also have Goliath, who was a warrior from the Philistines and was very, very, very frightening and scared the army, but it was David who didn't lose faith and was able to take Goliath down and save his people. So that concludes my lesson. And again, I hope that before too long that we're able to see each other again in person, and that I hope every single one of you and your families are doing well, whether you're being at home or you're actually going to the school. And as I have to remind myself and everyone during the time, please keep safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, try to keep distances far away from people. And I believe the next lesson is December the 13th, and I hope to see everyone then. Take care, and God be with you. Thank you.